Okay, there's plenty more as always on the news today, but let's turn to a story that's making the news at the moment. Months after the controversial ban on beef in Maharashtra, the state government's decision to prohibit the sale of meat in Mumbai for 4 days has generated controversy. The reason being cited is a Jain festival which has begun in a Mumbai suburb. This food censoring by the Fadnavis government has already generated plenty of heat. Many are now asking, why is the Maharashtra government cracking down on an individual's right to eat meat? Kamlesh Sutar now reports.
No mutton, no chicken, no fish. If you're in Mumbai, you won't be able to buy mutton, poultry or fish on 10th, 13th, 17th and 18th of September. Slaughter of animals will also not be allowed. All of this for the Jain ritual of Paryushan. The order was issued by the civic body in charge of outskirts of Mumbai, and the imposition of the temporary ban has been headed by the BJP. The decision has sparked off a war of words. The opposition has lashed out at the Fadnavis government for the religious motivation behind the move and for infringing upon people's personal
की आज़ादी लोगों को है, कोई किसी प्रकार से औरों के धर्म लोगों पे लादने का काम करेगी, तो मुझे लगता है वो सरकार के लिए ठीक नहीं है.
It is high time that secular progressive forces come together, pluralistic forces come together to save this country from the spectre of dictatorship.
Under fire for the meat ban, the Maharashtra government has been pushed on the back foot.
राज्य सरकार की भूमिका यह है कि स्थानीय स्वराज्य संस्था के अधिकार में हम हस्तक्षेप नहीं करेंगे.
A similar ban was imposed in Mumbai last year too, but for only 2 days. Sources say this time BJP wanted the ban to be extended to 8 days.
The decision to ban beef across Maharashtra had ran into similar controversies. Parties including BJP's ally Shiv Sena are questioning the rationale behind the ban, while some are calling it appeasement, others are calling it an attempt towards polarization. With Trupti Desai in Thane, Kamlesh Sutar in Mumbai for India Today.
The big question, of course, is does one have the right to eat meat or not? Or does that right that I have as an individual to eat meat infringe someone else's right perhaps to not eat meat? That's the real question that is being asked now in Mumbai, and that is a question that really every Indian should be asking today. The right to eat meat debate is here at the top of the news today at 9, because in some ways the right to eat meat is, many would say, a fundamental right that an individual will have. Joining me now, Suhail Seth is my first guest who's joining me. I'll also be joined by Sanju Verma of the BJP and Jitendra Awad of the NCP and Dhanpal Solanki Jain, an advocate for the Jain community which has been driving this. Suhail Seth, please tell me where you stand on this issue. Do you believe that you have a freedom of choice to eat meat, or is your right to eat meat circumscribed by the fact that some other community is celebrating its religious festival at the same time and their sentiment should be respected?
So I had mutton curry for lunch and I'm going to have mutton curry for dinner. And I don't think by my eating mutton curry, I'm being disrespectful of the Jains or being disrespectful towards any religion. And I really don't care what the government of Maharashtra thinks or does. I believe it is blatantly illegal. It's an intrusion into my fundamental rights. Most importantly, it's silly. That government should be worried about floods, about farmer suicides, about roads, about bridges. It should be worried about making Bombay more attractive as a commercial investment destination. They shouldn't be worried about meat. Having said that, Rajdeep, there is a pernicious pattern in our politics. The Congress 2 days, these guys 8 days, another party might come and make it 11 days. They are injecting religion into the mainstream, which is not required.
Can I for a moment, hold on.
You practice privately. It is meant to be adhered to privately.
You made your point. Let Sanju Verma respond. Sanju Verma of the BJP, please respond to this. You find yourself today isolated. Even your ally, the Shiv Sena, is questioning your decision to extend this ban to Mumbai for 4 days. This was originally meant to be a ban in a Mumbai suburb where there's a large Jain community. Now you are extending it to the whole of the city and thereby preventing an individual from exercising his right to have his own choice of food.
Rajdeep, Suhail Seth is a very savvy speaker, and he has an excellent way with words. But unfortunately, this time he's got his facts wrong. Let me tell you that under Section 48 of the Directive Principles of State Policy, the state has the right to impose a ban, if indeed ban is the term that you want to call it, a temporary restriction. Banning something or restricting something for 4 days, I fail to understand what's the big stink, what's the big hullabaloo over this.
It's a very simple...
Before Suhail said...
It's a very simple, ma'am.
No, it's not silly at all.
Hold on. It's a very simple hullabaloo. I have the right to eat meat just as you have the right not to eat meat.
In 2008, Rajdeep, you did not interrupt when Suhail was speaking. I think that's unfair. Let me make my point and then, you can ask me the question that you wish to.
Yes.
All I'm saying is that no less than the apex body of the Supreme by Mr. Markande Kajju and H. Sema, that local legislative municipal bodies have the right, in the interests of preservation of cattle and livestock, to impose a temporary ban. So this has been upheld by the Supreme Court. There is a provision for it in Section 48 of the Directive Principles of State Policy. There is a provision for it under Schedule 7 of the Constitution of India. I fail to understand, yes, we are a multilingual, multiracial, multireligious, diverse country, but that does not mean that any step that the government takes, we all suddenly start crying foul and seeing
tomorrow
red,
Muslims
will say,
no reason to. Tomorrow Muslims will say during Eid, please ban the sale of pork. Some other community will say that this food item is against my religious sentiments, please ban it. Where is this going to continue? My limited point is, because we are a diverse, plural society, how can you impose your food choices on someone else? It started with a 2-day ban in Mira Bhayandar. It's now spread to Mumbai. It's now 8 days in Mira Bhayandar, 4 days in Mumbai. What are we doing?
Rajdeep, it's not a contagion like you're making it out to be.
It is.
It's only been temporarily restricted for 4 days. And let me tell you, let me set the record straight. Out of about 45 lakh Jains in the country, in India today, Maharashtra is home to about 13.5 lakh Jains. They are just 1% of Maharashtra's population. There are a lot of amenities. There are a lot of, freebies that are given to Muslims who constitute 12% of Maharashtra's population. I fail to understand, if the government has asked people to forbid from eating meat for 4 days, why are we crying foul of this step? There is nothing silly about it. It has been upheld by the Supreme Court. There's a provision for it in the Constitution.
For a 2-day ban.
And I think, we are raising a stink for no particular reason. I want to ask you, Rajdeep, have you ever on your channel discussed the fact that in Thane, there are 45 or 49 mosques which blare out early in the morning at 5 a.m. from loudspeakers, the azan call for reading of namaz, despite not having licenses, and this is on record. Why is it that you and me don't talk about it at that time? Because I am not making loudspeakers from 10 p.m. in the night to 6 a.m. Have you ever discussed that? We don't discuss that. But when the Jains are given some form of, an indication that yes, we are willing to partake of the kind of, festive spirit that they engage in, we are willing to forbid eating meat for 4 days. Why this hullabaloo?
Suhail said, why the hullabaloo? Now let Suhail.
The Muslims blare from the loudspeakers about azan at 5 a.m. in the morning.
Ma'am, let Suhail
talk about it.
Madam, let Suhail respond. Suhail, why the hullabaloo?
No, what is ma'am's name? Because in all her rather soft-spokenness, I couldn't get her name. I'd like to address her with decency.
Sanju Verma.
Okay, Mrs. Verma, I completely agree with you. Even mosques, even churches, temples, whatever, if they are blaring sound which disturbs people, should not be allowed. But two wrongs don't make a right, number one. Number two, let me contend with your pivotal point, that why is there a hullabaloo? The hullabaloo is not about the tenure of the ban. The hullabaloo is not even about the ban. So don't quote this rule book. The Supreme Court may have passed an order, but the order very clearly said competent authorities may take the decision. My limited point is, when you have a Prime Minister...
So the local municipal body is indeed a competent authority, Suhail. The local municipal body is indeed a competent authority.
Did I interrupt you? Did I interrupt you? Give me the decency.
You are stating a fact which is incorrect. I need to come in because this is a debate.
Let me finish.
This is a debate.
Let me finish. Let me. You see.
But you cannot give incorrect.
One by one, please.
This is not
one by one.
Allow people to speak.
Yeah, go ahead, Suel, and then I'll get Sanju Verma to respond.
Now, for you, in your manner to justify a ban, you now want to draw one religion against the other by questioning the anchor of this channel is entirely your prerogative. I have nothing to say on this. My limited point is, as a citizen of this country, if eating meat is not illegal, I should be allowed to eat it. Do not justify it on the basis of a religion. Certainly the Jains, who are peace-loving, whose ethos is tolerance of other people's way of life. I mean, that is my limited point. And I'm saying, when there are severe, larger issues that loom over us in the state of Maharashtra and elsewhere in our country, why do you pick low-hanging fruit which brings about controversy, which makes a Rajdeep Sardesai put this on the 9 o'clock news for you to then come here and, spend your precious time?
The question, Ms. Verma, and I'll bring in a Jain, I'll bring in an advocate for the Jain community in a moment, but Ms. Verma, my limited question. I have a story tonight which is going to come in a little while on the drought situation in Marathwada. To my mind, the Maharashtra government should be fully engaged on that. In fact, your beef ban has meant that the poor farmers of Marathwada cannot even sell their cattle. Now, these are the issues which you should be concerned about. You seem to be playing a religious politics, one day catering to the Jain community, one day catering to a particular section of some other community. Is that you accuse the other parties of vote bank politics? This is a form of vote bank politics. You want to attract the Jain community of Meera Bhayandar, which is why you have imposed this ban. Is that the reason to impose the ban? Don't tell me it's about the constitution of this country. You're using the directive principles very selectively.
I need to have my say as well.
Yes, please have your say.
Rajdeep, first of all, I'm a big fan of your show, so there is no question of me, contesting the locus standi on why you decide on a particular topic or not. Now, having clarified that, you raised a very pertinent query about the drought situation, which is grave. But let me tell you that has nothing to do with the livestock situation. That has more to do with the fact that since 2006, Marathwada, which has parched, dry, rocky soil, and where the traditional crops used to be jawar, bajra, groundnut, currently farmers for the last couple of years, between 2010 and 2013, were rampantly growing cash crops like cotton, sugar. 1 ton of sugar needs 400 liters of water to be crushed. And that is the crux of the problem. Because don't forget that in the Congress Prithviraj Chauhan government, out of the 30 ministers that he had in his state cabinet, 13 ministers were owners of sugar factories in Marathwada
are you not playing
alone.
vote bank politics?
I'm not trying to politicize
Let's come
the
back
issue.
to the right to meet question. Are you playing vote bank politics or not?
Was in Solapur,
are you not catering to the Jain community?
He left for Japan yesterday.
Ma'am, I'm asking you a straight question. I want a straight answer.
Who says that, catering
is this not vote bank politics?
Is appeasement?
Is this not vote bank politics?
Catering to a particular community is not appeasement. Kerala schools banned midday meals during Ramadan. None of us discussed that. Why haven't you and me made a hue and cry about it? Has anyone bothered to ask why rampantly midday meal schools banned, the midday meal scheme in various Kerala government schools? No, none of us bothered discussing about it. But now this 4-day temporary restriction becomes a huge issue. We are making a mountain out of a molehill. That's my point. What Shiv said.
Can I bring in Dhanpal Jain?
We need to discuss the graver issues.
Can I bring in Dhanpal? Okay, ma'am.
We don't need to trivialize issues. This is a multilingual, multiracial country. Yes. But we need to understand that religious tolerance is also in our ethos. Catering to one community does not mean that we are, trying to make a point against the other community. It's not mutually exclusive.
Ma'am, can I get my other panelists now?
Against the Sikhs, the Christians, and the Muslims.
Ma'am, can I get in?
We are not mutually exclusive in the way we deal with religious groups.
Ma'am, can I bring in Dhanpal Jain? Dhanpal Jain, you are an advocate for the Jain community. Please tell me, does the Jain community want this ban imposed in a manner that it infringes on someone else's right to eat?
First, let me correct you. I am not an advocate for the Jain community. I am an advocate at Bombay High Court.
Yes.
Anyways, my point is that we are a land of Tirthankar, Mahavir, Buddha, Nanak, and all those great spiritual saints. Tell me one religious text, any Hinduism, Muslim, or Christianity which says that cruelty against animals and being barbaric is allowed. And if you look from the realm of the Constitution of India, whose architect was Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, made it very clear under Article 48, where he said that scientific temper, compassion and tolerance must be the way of life of every citizen of India. So, and also in the Supreme Court judgment, which again endorses the 9 days ban in Gujarat, which Hinsa Virodak Sangh versus Mirzapur. Here Justice Kaju and H.K. Seema says that it is not going to violate the rights of a particular community who eats non-veg food for 9 days. We are saying that slaughtering of animals should be close, and we are also a religious minority. We are just a 0.50% of India's population. So our religious sentiments must also be respected. Like if on Friday prayers where public land is being used to offer prayers, or on masjid the big loudspeaker goes on. So we are being tolerant, we are being compassionate.
Okay,
the only idea is you be compassionate.
Okay, let me get that. Suhail said, give me a final word. That if you are tolerant, according to Dhanpal Jain, about of other communities and their concerns, then why not of the Jain community, is the argument he makes. Every community's religious sentiments must be respected. Forget about your individual right to eat meat.
Yes, but we can't have a situation where one community has food restrictions of one kind, another has of another kind. We'll end up eating nothing. A, B, and I'm not being flippant when I say this. B, I completely agree with both the advocate and Mrs. Verma. I'm against, hear me out, I'm against public display for any religion. I'm against processions which are taken out destroying traffic or creating harassment for people. I've always said religion is a private matter and must remain that way. Having said all of that, freedoms such as this, to my mind, are low-hanging fruit and do not need to seize any government. And to blame BJP also is unfair. The Congress began this tradition, or this tradition of this 2-day. Now it's become 8 days or 9 days. Point I'm making is, we have far graver issues. We are a far more underwhelmed country right now. Right. We need to get back to the basics that Modi has talked about, that Fadnavis in Maharashtra has talked about. We need to get development back and not get back sectarian issues such as these. Okay, if we can resolve them, good for all of us here.
Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. I appreciate my panelists joining us. Remember, this is a contentious issue. Dhanpal, I'm sorry that you came in late and therefore we could get less of you. Dhanpal Jain, Ms. Verma, Suhail said, appreciate your joining us. My take, where do I stand? First, a beef ban, now meat. The Maharashtra government seems to be needlessly interfering in individual food choices. A Jain has a right to stay vegetarian. Why should another citizen not have an equal right to eat meat? Instead of dictating diets, why doesn't the Maharashtra government focus on what should be, I believe, its prime task at the moment? Providing relief to the drought-affected farmers of Marathwada and Vidarbha. In fact, on this program, we'll have a special on Marathwada's farmers, and then you'll know the difference and why we need people to help the farmers of Marathwada.